Alright, this is Damien again, back for part 3 of my assignment in CS210. This is the display for it. This one was pretty interesting to try to build, and I did need to employ some extra help from a program called MC Edit. It allowed me to copy and paste, because laying out all of this by hand would have been just ridiculous. But so this is, let's just start at the very beginning over here. This is the lever that you flip to turn it on and off. Right now I'm going to leave it on, this is off. I'm going to leave this off for now. This is transmitting a signal, keeping it off. But let's take a look where this goes. This is going to run to, this line is running right here to this clock. And this is a clock, basically this torch, if this line goes off, the clock will start. This torch will turn on and transmit the signal around through these repeaters to create the delay, and then once the signal gets back around, it will turn this torch off, which will allow the off signal to go back through the repeaters, allowing the torch to be on, and so it'll cycle, back and forth. And then it will output through this wire into this, which is a monostable circuit, which basically every time it receives a pulse of any length, it will shorten that pulse to just 1 or 2 ticks. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's the right amount for these to work. And it will be transmitted down and up along this this spiral, so that it reaches every layer, every one of these horizontal lines coming out, and each of those will feed it into all of these, I guess, flip-flops. I don't know exactly what to call these. Basically, each one of these rows is basically one of the 8-bit shift registers from DL-Sim. So let's take a random one in the middle as an example. Let's say, okay, so the state is stored by this. These are pistons, which are blocks that push other blocks when they receive a signal. And right here, this is what stores the state. So it's whether this block, the stone block, is on this side or this side. When it's on the side that's above the redstone torch, it will send a signal through the block and into this line. When it's over here, not there, when it's away from the torch, it will not send a signal. So that is what determines whether this is on or off, whether this particular segment should be on. This is connected to, I think, this segment right there. So if it's on, it will power, I can't move, it'll power this side of this AND gate. You'll see it's coming in under, and it'll hit that side of that AND gate. If it's off, it'll let this torch on, and it'll power this side of this AND gate. The other side of each AND gate is powered by the clock. So the clock is coming in right here. I'm hitting my head a lot. The clock is coming in right here and powering the other sides of these AND gates. So, and then this will send a signal to these pistons, depending on which one of these AND gates is activated. One of them always will be, because this input is just inverted in each one. But which one it is will depend on what it sets this next state to. So if this is off like this, it will allow this AND gate to be activated. See, this one's already being powered, and then this side will be powered when the clock is activated. So when the clock is activated, it'll allow this piston to push, which sets this next bit storage, I guess, to off. Because if this was on, if this line was on, this AND gate or this torch wouldn't be powered, but this one would. So when the clock pulses, it would activate this, or it would, activate this AND gate, which would cause this piston to push this block this way, setting this next output, or the state in this one, to on. And basically it'll do that all the way down the line, so every time that there's a clock pulse, it works such that it'll move everything over by 1. It'll move all the signals over by 1. So if this one, say this one is 1, and this one is 0, and this one's 1, if we pulse the clock, this will be 1, this will be 0, this will be 1. You get the idea. And the delay on the pistons pushing is long enough that it won't transfer more than one spot. It won't move more than one bit over at a time. So basically I have 7 layers of these. Each one is 8 sections, one for each of these displays, and there are 7 layers, one for each of the segments in a given display. So the first layer corresponds to the bottom sections, right? So that makes enough sense, I guess. I wish I could have a better way of demonstrating how this works, but while it's hooked up to all this other stuff, it doesn't really work well. But let's show off what this other stuff is. Line still. And this is actually going over here as well to this counter. The way this counter works is when it receives the clock pulse, it will power this, which is a T flip-flop. So it will flip this. This is the least significant bit. So every time you add 1, obviously it's going to change the least significant bit. And it's also going to send the signal to this. This is an AND gate, and it's basically saying if this is already on and we're adding, then we're going to also change the next bit and continue the add from there. So this is basically the on state for this bit. Kinda. It's not outputting a signal from here, but the way this is all hooked up, this is kind of inverted. So this looks like it's 2 bits that are on and 1 that's off, but in terms of the adder, it's basically that these 2 are on. So this is basically 1, and 2 would be this middle line is off and the other 2 are on. It's just the outputs are inverted because I used this torch structure, and it just worked out better that way. But so in this case, if we received a clock pulse, it would change this bit, but the delay on that is long enough that first it would check and say, is this bit 1, which it is. And if it is, it will go through here, change this bit, but first it would go to here, this AND gate, and say, okay, what about this bit? And this bit is 0, so it wouldn't continue the add, it wouldn't flip the last bit. But if this bit were already set to 1, then it would, is how the 3-bit adder works. And it will reset correctly when it gets to 7. It'll go back to 0 because from here it has nowhere else to go, but it will change that bit. So then we have those outputs going into these torch stacks, which I used in my previous assignment, I think in the part 1 in the 7-segment display. This basically is going to be the input into the generator for the different states. So basically we have, I don't know, we can label these inputs like A, B, and C. And then here we have not A, not B, and not C. And basically these gates are set up so that it'll determine whether this bottom segment should be on depending on the input of the counter. And there's a different set of gates on each one of these. This is just an OR because it just worked out really well on that one. This layer, it turns out for the symbols I chose, this segment is never on, so I didn't actually need to set up anything in here. There are some more complex ones here and here. You'll see here there's an AND gate, another AND gate, which is connected to an XOR gate, and then those are kind of ORed together right here, going into the first input. So right here you can see this is on. So when the clock receives a pulse, it will basically activate this segment because, well, let's see which segments are on. So this will generate a 3. The first symbol in my list is a 3, and if we were to change the state of the counter, the torch stacks, and so every time the clock pulses, it will get these values and put them into the first storage spaces right here. It'll shift everything over, and then it will increment the counter and change what these are for the next time. So as it pretty much should. It does take a few seconds, a couple of seconds. This is much slower than the DLSim version, obviously. And I made it even slower than it needed to be because the way the lanterns update in the display is a little bit slow at times, especially like across chunks. So, but let's go ahead and take a look at this. This big overhang of, these are black wool blocks, and basically I just built this so that the light wouldn't get in and so you could actually see the displays more clearly. I'm actually going to run over here real quick and turn this to night because I have a lever set up that will allow me to make everything dark. Just to make sure we can see it clearly. Where is it? This guy right here. Notice I have my HUD off because I figured that made more sense for this. Okay, I wish I had set this up closer to where I was actually building, but oh well. Now, so we have eight of these displays, and as soon as I flip this lever, after a second or two, they will start coming up with what I've chosen, what I've set up. So, give it a couple of seconds. Oh, getting some frame rate problems. There's 3. Like I said, that would be the first character. Give it a few more seconds. There's that's supposed to be a decimal point. I don't really have another way to represent that. That's the closest I could get. There's 1. I'm sure you can guess what the rest of this sequence will be. And you can see though it's shifting over each time. 3.141. Let's just sit through a full cycle of this just to make sure and see that it all scrolls through correctly. Takes a second to update. 3.1415. You can see the lanterns kind of changing states on the screen a little inconsistently. 3.14159. That's why I lengthened the clock. So there you can see 3.14159 and then a blank space, which I left in there just so you can tell where one set of this ends and another begins, kind of like you did with the CS210 sign. But you can see it's scrolling by again. There's 3 points, and the rest of it, of the first one is going by still. 3.1. Okay, so you get the idea. Let's turn this off because it's making this lag a lot. Yep. Come on. Nope. Off. There we go. No, it's on. Not doing what I want it to. There we go. That should do it. Okay. So you can see that this is not how it was before. These lines that are actually connecting the shift registers to the segments. Oh, I should actually show how that's connected. Basically, this inversion of the state is inverted again and then taken down to the correct segment. But you can see some of these are on and some are off. If we find the one that's on, right here, you'll see that the block is in the other position. It's over the torch, so it's putting out the signal into this wire, and therefore it's being here. Yeah, it's activating this AND gate instead. So next time this will be on. All the states from this column will be in that column, of course. We can take a look at how this looks from behind really quickly, if you want, or I guess we will. Pulse lighting up the whole structure. You can see the pistons pushing maybe, and we can see let's just see the clock running. You see the signal is traveling through gradually, and then okay, this is really causing problems. Trying to record and do this. Whoops. There we go. That should do it. Okay, it stopped. So it's a little intensive to have all of this running at once, all these different states changing in this big structure, especially while I'm screen capturing. But so hopefully that pretty much explains how everything works. I don't know. I feel like I might be missing something, but I don't think I am. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Let's just see how this is looking. 415, 3 point. Okay. And there it is. We have another one of these. Yay. So that's important. Alright. Let me know if there's anything I miss, or if you want to see the... I don't know if I need to include my formulas for... or not formulas. My Boolean equations for whether or not a state should be shown depending on the input from the counter. Let me know if I need that. Let me know if I was unclear about anything. As always, And that should be about it. Thank you.